Ontario has set another record for new cases today. The province reporting 1,426 new cases. CTV's Colin DeMello joins me now in Toronto. So, Colin, break down these new numbers and also, Peel region, one of the hotspots, having higher case numbers than Toronto.
Yeah, it really seems like the case numbers are slowly growing out of control. I mean, as of right now, the 7-day average for cases in Ontario is over 1,200, and that's significant because the projections that the province had said a few weeks ago was that Ontario would average anywhere between 800 and 1,200 cases per day. We are now above those projections, so that is definitely concerning. There were another 15 deaths that were recorded today. And as well, yes, the case rates in those local regions are also up. It seems like every indicator in this province is up. But from a provincial level, there seems to be a new kind of route being taken here, right? The responsibility for lockdowns is largely being transferred to municipalities. The province has this framework, a color-coded framework that it set out, and it can move those regions in and or up or down that framework as needed. But they're not necessarily implementing a lot of restrictions. In fact, in all of these color-coded stages, every business would remain open. They would only have capacity limits. So it's largely being left up now, Bev, to the individual regions, municipalities, local medical officers of health to kind of go beyond the province and impose new restrictions to get the virus in their local regions under control.
Yeah, and interesting, Colin, that even with the restrictions under which many of these hotspots have been operating over the past several weeks, the numbers continued to spike. So now new restrictions in Toronto, as well as new restrictions in Peel. There's a little bit of a pushback in addition to all of this, not just from restaurants, but from small business in general.
Well, definitely. I mean, they've been really taking the brunt of this, right? A lot of business owners had been kind of saying out loud, we barely survived the first wave of the pandemic, and now the second wave will mean many of them will have to close up shop for good, and they may be completely out of business. And the premier has repeatedly talked about this idea of balancing both the public health restrictions, but also the needs of business owners. Because remember, you might end up having higher suicide rates as a result. You might end up having higher mental health issues as a result of the pandemic. And those downsides, I think, are also forefront with all of these leaders because they don't want to cause another kind of, pandemic or an epidemic when it comes to other healthcare concerns. So there is this very delicate balance that's happening in Ontario, but I think at the forefront of all of this is just the fact that every single metric continues to rise. And we don't know what the ceiling is for all of this. We don't know what the premier is going to consider that red line, at which point they're going to have to do what, other provinces and other jurisdictions have done, from Europe to Australia to even other provinces in Canada, which is a full lockdown. So we're still kind of waiting to see where we're going to end up here as we continue to see those case numbers go higher.